Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Next, starring Nicolas Cage, Julianne Moore, Jessica Biel, and Thomas Kretschmann, directed by Lee Tamahori. Now, before I get into this, I remember going to this movie in theaters, but remembered being a little confused by the ending. I'll talk about it. But did I like it? I don't remember because the ending just left me kind of cold. Let's just get into it. That's all I remember about this movie. Let's get into it. We open in a diner where Chris Johnson, played by Nicolas Cage, expects to find a woman who will love him as we move on to Las Vegas, which is an Elvis Presley impression, I would say, or where he works as a magician while in his magic act he sees Callie Ferris, played by Julianne Moore, and after his magic act he gambles as he explains he can see what happens to him in the next 2 minutes into the future, in his future, I should say. And it is a good concept, but the way it was executed by Nicolas Cage and Lee Tamahori is poorly done. And as far as Nicolas Cage goes, he can act, but he didn't hear. He didn't in Ghost Rider, and he didn't in so many of his bad films where he loves going over the top that it's not funny. He leaves a casino in Las Vegas where he learns the tricks of gambling. As he escapes the place, he sees he gets hit by a train and goes even faster on his car while Callie wants him for what reason? I can't remember since I haven't seen the movie since theaters. But what I thought was she wants him to work with her to save the world for what reason? I don't know. Maybe the plot will tell me. And this movie doesn't make me care as the shots in this are very poor. Callie visits Chris to talk with him about making him see where some weapons are going to the United States until he runs out, and because he sees the FBI, including Callie, coming, and while playing pool with a friend, and I thought it was clever, but rather poorly clever, I'll say. The next day at the diner, he finds the woman he's been looking for happens to be Liz Cooper, played by Jessica Biel, as he finds a way to talk to her. Stalker, ex-boyfriend, comes in and harasses her as he repeatedly sees it, and she does help him up and drives him to Flagstaff as long as he's not a psycho. And she brings it up and falls for it. And this movie doesn't feel realistic as it has problems for damn sure. We meet the movie's villain named Mr. Smith, played by Thomas Kretschmann, and how many characters has that name as a bad guy? Who's the weapons designer that Callie wants to stop from exploding the world, while Chris and Liz go to her teaching class in the canyon, and the shots there are pretty, but Nicolas Cage and Jessica Biel have no chemistry whatsoever, as they're both pretty terrible actors, as Nicolas Cage likes to go over the top in his movies, but I liked him in other movies like he's acted in like an adaptation about the Kaufman brothers. And surprisingly, I've never seen Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, but I hear he's tremendous in that movie. And Jessica Biel is attractive in general, but man, there's no chemistry coming off of them. They head to a hotel in the middle of nowhere as Chris makes a fire in Liz's room, and he sleeps in the truck. And that was a good thing because if they slept together, it would have creeped me out because of the age differences. That's just me. Julianne Moore's acting in this movie is terrible as well, but she's not Nicolas Cage whose acting is over the top, as she goes full on serious as the movie falls apart from the beginning as the acting is terrible. And I don't really like these people as characters. The next morning, Chris and Liz kiss right off the bat after one day. Oh boy, am I creeped out after one day of romance. I'm reminded of the first Frozen. And I'm sorry I had to bring that up, but there's a scene in that movie where they do meet and fall in love for one day, where that's not love, that is not true love after one day. That's way too soon, we needed more time with them as lovers. And this movie doesn't pull it off very well. Callie confronts Liz and takes her to her car and tells the truth about who Chris really is, as she's shocked to death. But I don't get that from Jessica Biel's acting. as she's terrible in that scene, and she goes back to the hotel, and Chris senses something is wrong as she puts the pill in Chris's drink, and she warns him not to drink it and tells him the truth about the FBI going to Liz while Mr. Smith had a perfect shot at Chris. But he goes inside, and Chris tells Liz his gift and her shocking acting abilities don't work while the story isn't making much sense. Chris tells Liz to get away from the hotel as something bad will happen as Kelly and the FBI go after Chris, while Chris runs away with a very unspectacular chase sequence, while Mr. Smith's men tries to shoot Chris dead, and the FBI want him for national security reasons. And why can't he go with the FBI is what I wanted to, from the beginning, is what I wanted to know. That doesn't make any sense, and this script is confusing me to death. Oh my god. Chris covers Callie so she doesn't die, so they bring him to see what they can see in his future with a machine that deals with his eyes. And that scene looked like a Clockwork Orange, but which I never saw, to be fair, but I know about that scene. And it looked rather painful while Mr. Smith captures Liz, and Chris sees Liz as bait in the middle of the bomb explosion that explodes to her death as he sees it on the TV and can't find a way to stop it. And they wheel him out to prison, and he asks for a cigarette and beats his way out and goes to the top of a parking lot where he saw Liz exploding on the TV. And he tells Callie what he did see on the TV, and Callie orders Chris to let Mr. Smith shoot at him, and Mr. Smith's sniper does shoot him, but his sniper does shoot him, but he ends up missing. And Chris does end up being alive, as I'm thinking he was wearing a bulletproof vest. Honestly, how can he survive that? Or he wasn't, I should say. Because nobody could survive that. Chris works with the FBI as he makes the plan and signals them to bring in the bomb squad. And they have a pretty unspectacular shootout while Liz tries to take the vest with the bomb, which she can't without exploding. And Mr. Smith captures her, and the FBI follow them to a ship, and Chris has a vision and gets one of the guys to not let a trap explode, and Chris finds a sniper, and the guy shoots the sniper, and they split up, and Chris splits himself up, which that special effects scene hurt my head, as this is a messy script that, hell, I can't even believe it. They get to Mr. Smith and Liz, and Chris finds multiple ways to save Liz while Mr. Smith runs out of bullets, and Chris realizes he made a mistake, and the bomb explodes until he wakes up, and he realizes he needs to help the FBI. And what kind of an ending is that? As he saw hours into the future? As for the movie, it was 45 minutes into the future, as it bothered me half to death, and I'm confused as hell. And it makes one hell of a confusing and mess of a movie by the end of the day. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 3.5 out of 10. I don't like the characters, as the acting is over the top, and not by Nicolas Cage but Julianne Moore, with her over the top seriousness and acting like a cop was pretty bad, as the chemistry between Nicolas Cage and Jessica Biel was also bad. This was a confusing script as well as the plot, as it was making no sense, and the director should have known he had a script that doesn't make any sense, but yet he didn't. The ending was unbelievably bad, as how in the hell can he see in the future 45 minutes away, as it bothered me half to death. It makes one hell of a bad movie. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and next time I will be back with the Adjustment Bureau. And until then, get your ass to Mars.